57, excuse me, 57 is setting you up to have a hyperbola, obviously, because it's part of the hyperbola problems. What I want you to do is move the 128, keep the y squared as the second part, because it's already subtraction. So you're going to get 16x squared minus y squared plus 16y is going to equal 128. So at this point, what I'm going to do is start setting up for my completing the square. Well, in the first part, there is no x value. So that basically means I'm going to have 16 times the x minus 0 quantity squared. This just means my h value is going to be at 0. That's all that means. Okay. The next one, I got to take out the negative 1. So I'm going to have y minus, y squared minus 16y plus blank equals 128. Now, in essence, I could do a 16 times 0 here, but I know that there's no h value. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to put anything on the other side. So I'm just going to do a minus 1 times something for the k value. Do half of the negative 16, get negative 8. So I have 16 x minus 0 quantity squared minus 1 y minus 8 quantity squared. When I square it, I'm going to add 64. Okay. Which means the right-hand side is going to equal 64. After that, divide out by the 64. You're going to get x minus 0 quantity squared over 4 minus y minus 8 quantity squared over 64 is 1. Yes, ma'am? Yeah, absolutely. Only reason why I'm writing it with a minus 0, that way I remember that h is 0. That's all. It's the only reason why I do that. Okay. So now I know it's an x squared hyperbola, and an x squared hyperbola I do believe goes left and right. And look at my little formula thing and go, oh yeah, x squared goes left and right. Nice, huh? It's going to do that. I have a center at 0, 8. I have an a squared value of 4, a b squared value of 64, a c squared value of 68, a plus or minus 2, b plus or minus 8, c plus or minus root 68. I was just going to say, I think 17 works. I think it's 4 and 17. So it's 2 root 17. And now it's just a matter of plotting it through. Do you need me to show you how to plot and walk through that? I think is the easiest part of identifying the things, I'm hoping. Because that way it gives us time to do more problems today. I mean, I can do it, a couple of them if you want. I don't know, is this a style that's going to be difficult? I mean, 2 root 17, obviously it's going to be a little bit more than 8 when you plot it out. And then you're just adding, as long as you make sure you're adding to the x-coordinates for your vertex and your co-vertex. That you will have to write the equations of the slant asymptote, so you want to do at least that? Or no? I mean, it can't be that bad, because at least you're already given, all you have to do is find the slope, and you got a y-intercept, because it's 0 and 8. And now those ones should be pretty easy, I hope.
Yeah, can you do the slant and that's what I'm thinking.
What's that?
Can you do the slant thingy?
Your center is at 0, 8, and you start thinking about what it...
Over 2, right, is the thing, and then it's 4.
Yeah. So you started at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Your a value goes over 2. The other one goes up 4. So you go up 4 over 2, so there's your slope of 4, or negative 4. And work from there. And it's really nice that you have the y-intercept. Convenient. What other one do you want to look at? Were you going to ask on that? How'd I get 4?
Wait, wouldn't the b value go down?
Oh, I said the slope is 4, but I just walked up. Instead of walking up, I should have walked up 8. I did 8 over 2 in my head. I said, oh, the slope is 4, and I just went up 4. It should be up 8 over 2. So we'll just make that a lot steeper. Okay. Oh, I'm an idiot. Sometimes it's funny.
Which one?
53? Again, it's, yes.
How do we find it?
Yeah.
Is this 2 over 8?
No. So we need to.
Yeah, always simplify yourself. I mean, it's just,
Okay. So
it's what you always did back in the day.
Your-
Start grouping your stuff in your x squareds first. Then you've got your y's, negative 119. GCF, or take out the 9, I should say, so minus 8. Take out the negative 1, and that's what most people do.
So it'd be.
So we have negative,
Minus 8 or you do
Plus.
Would it be or not? Just
most people forget the negative 1. Bless you. Stop forgetting the negative 1. It's either way, I always regret the negative 1, that way I don't screw up. It's just me. Let's see, half of negative 8 is negative 4, so this becomes 9. X minus 4 squared, I'm adding 16. Half of negative 8 is negative 4 squared, I'm adding 16. So let's see, that becomes 8 times 16, so it's 144?
9.
Huh?
9.
Well, I wasn't done yet.
Oh.
Just tell you the answers.
You guys are so smug. 9. Lottie freaking God. And then roll them from there.
Wait a second, why is it positive? Oh, it's in the square.
The negative's still behind it. It's still in front of it, so. So you guys owe me 2 days worth of hyperbolas, the shift and the non-shift. Send that up, and then we'll start going through the junk you did yesterday. I don't think anybody was missing yesterday besides me, right?
So 10.5 and 10.6? Yeah.
What we've been doing is when we had the shift, non-shift, I was letting you guys hold on to the non-shift in case you wanted to adjust or fix, or that way you see what I always thought that it made more sense to have a little extra work with you. Call me weird and nuts.
10.6 and 10.5?
What's 10.5?
All right, so. Ooh.
Oh. Is this it? Page 613?
Yeah.
No, I don't like that view.
So tired.
I know that when you go through it, there are a lot of weird ones. You get some weird numbers here and there. It is rather difficult to come up with everything that works out cleanly-ish to the best of my ability to do a lot of this. So what I tried to do is just give you a good overview of kind of like the most difficult way of going about it. Aside from writing equations given things, because that's the only other part that it's hard to find more problems. What I mean by that is, you know, in 10.6, the very beginning of 10.6 is when it would ask you to write the equation given specific parameters.
Yeah.
No.
These things. Make sure you can still do that. Obviously, there wasn't anything on that review thing for it. One of the places that you can find more of those winds up being in the very back of the book. And what I have done is on the website, if we go to, let's see, chapter 10, at the very bottom here, there's the chapter review and the review sheet. I used to have a link to the extra practice problems. So anyway, if you go to the chapter review stuff, you've got the chapter test, and you've got all these problems right in here. those are also ones that I would suggest to look at. Because I know yesterday you guys got a good chunk of these things done. This is on page 645 if you have your book. Or linked on the website, there's just that one page. There's those, 8 problems or so. And then I think there are a couple more.
What page is this?
645.
Thank you.
That's really the only other ones that I haven't been able to put on the sheet of paper. So I figured today would be okay to throw that and show you that, but yet still spend some time going over what you did yesterday. You've got the worried look. Which one would you like to look at?
Are any of these parabolas?
17?
Are any of these on the packet?
Well,
parabolas?
no, these aren't. This style, I didn't get any of them in there on that one. What I did was with this thing, with this packet was just all Conic, right, standard form and go from there.
So none of them were?
None of them were on there. That's why I wanted to show you that today. Someone kept saying parabola. Which one was the parabola? How do you know which one's a parabola or not?
You
It's
can,
the
it only has one
squared.
It only has one value. It's squared. So if I'm looking at
So
Instead of
in that,
five.
is that being over 11?
I was so confused. I was so used to hyperbola.
I know. And that's the whole idea here is when you're giving it this standard, when you're giving it not standard form, but in conic form, excuse me, they put it in that style. You need to be able to put it into the standard form to figure out what exactly is it. Is it going to be in a hyperbola? Is it going to be an ellipse? Is it going to be a circle? Any one of those. Good thing you had a pencil. All right. When you see this, you see it just has an x squared, which means it is going to be a parabola. It's going to be an x squared parabola. So what I'm going to do is remember that the x squared parabola looks like this. X minus h, quantity squared, equals 4p y minus k. So what I need to do is get that equation to look like that. The easiest way to do that is to move the x squared and the negative x squared and the negative 12x to the other side.
Okay.
So I'm going to get y minus 32 is x squared plus 12x. And now I just have to complete the square on the right-hand side.
If it was the y that was squared, would you switch the y minus k and then x?
Yes. It would be y minus k and then there'd be the x minus h on the other side.
Okay.
Correct. So when I do that, I go to complete my square. So I take half of 12 is 6. So the term becomes x plus 6. I square it, which means I'm going to add 36 to both sides. So I get y minus, y plus 4 on that side. Now, I'm going to flip-flop the side of the equal sign just so it looks more normal to our y minus or x minus h part. And that is perfectly legal to do.
Without making it negative?
Correct. Because all you're doing is just rewriting it backwards. Okay? Because if x equals 3, doesn't 3 equal x?
Yeah.
There you are. I believe that's the property of symmetry. I don't remember. It's one of those. We'll say it's symmetry. So now, the only thing that's left to do here is to figure out what your value of 4p is. So what do you have to factor out of this? What's the coefficient of y? 1. That was the trick. You wind up with x plus 6 quantity squared equals 1 times y plus 4.
Brought me down to next solid grade.
I completed the square. In order to turn it into a perfect square trinomial, I took half of 12, which is 6 squared, and I add 36 to both sides to keep it balanced.
I don't get
That's
this,
when we completed the square.
I'm supposed to
Just to write this down.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is it only one if there's like a number by y?
Yeah.
Okay, then they just,
Yeah.
then you take out that number.
Yeah, if this number was a 2, I'd factor out the 2 and I get y plus 2, and so on. So what I'm doing here then is taking the value of 1, and I have to set that equal to 4p, so that means my p value is 1/4. Okay? And then you go from there. So the center, or excuse me, remember the center isn't technically the center, it's the vertex. The vertex here is going to be at -6, -4. P-value is positive, so which way is this going to have to open?
Up.
Like up?
Cup.
So I go up a quarter. My directrix is a quarter behind it. Oops. And it's just a matter of labeling it out. The focus, what I would do is I'm only adding to the y value. So if my center is at -6, -4, my focus would be at -6, -3.75, or if you want to write it like that because you're dealing with a quarter, it's okay. Directrix is going to be at y equals -4.25. And just go from there.
So you have to find like two spots.
No, I'm not worried. We didn't do that before. I'm not really worried about it because it's got to do something like that. You could figure it out if you wanted to. You could set y equal to 0 and figure out your x.
And you won't like take points up.
Just draw the curve and you'll be
So
good to go.
basically, you plot your vertex.
Plot your vertex.
You go up
Your-
by P and then down.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
For parabolas, that's all it was. You just have to plot your focus and your directrix. And right through, obviously, the directrix is an equation, so it's a line. It's either x equal or y equal.
Wait, so
What'd you
I
have?
was going to ask for 8.
Okay.
How do you get the 1?
What's the coefficient of y?
Wait, it's on parabola.
so what's
X squared goes up.
Yeah, and remember, it's going to be on the sheet.
Oh, okay. We're good.
He's positive, it goes up. He's negative, it goes down.
Yeah.
Wait, so is the directrix y equal?
Yeah, in this case, it'll be y. You said 18? 16. 16.
Hey, Mr.
Yeah.
Yes, just the
I forgot how to find the directrix again. What do you do?
Opposite of p.
Okay.
So you have x squared plus y squared minus 6x plus 2y plus 6. Since there's a plus sign between the x squared and the y squared, it might be either an ellipse or a circle, depending on how we want it, their a's and b's. So group them together. We have x squared minus 6x plus blank is y squared plus 2y plus blank is -6 plus blank plus blank. The reason I can jump to right away to the adding in those blank values is because the x squared and the y squared have a coefficient of 1. It's the easier one, if any of these are easy. Half of it, you get x minus 3. You square it, you get 9 here and here. You get y plus 1, square it, you get 1 here and here. And you get 4.
Yeah, thank you.
What is this going to wind up being?
Circle.
It's a circle. You get a circle. This one you get a circle because if you divide out by 4, your a value, your a squared and your b squared are the same. Whenever a squared and b squared are the same, that means the distance from your center to your vertex, center to your co-vertex is the same value. Hence, it's a radius.
So you know, it's a circle and A are the same.
Yep, it's a circle when your a squared and b squared, or yeah, when your a and b is the same.
Does it have to be a plus sign?
Yes. Yeah. Then otherwise, you could have a hyperbola with subtraction, and it just winds up being your rectangle. So here you've got a circle at 3, -1 with a radius of
2.
which number do you want to see?
Number 8. It's like when you have, you get to like, you have like the number still next to the x plus 1 squared.
Ooh, that one. Gnarly.
When we like use
Gnarly.
fractions or something.
I think I did it.
I forget how to go back.
The one we just did, the radius was 2. Why? Because
R squared.
9 over 1 is
Formula equals r squared. So let's group them. 9x squared, 18x, 25y squared, 100y. Take out the 9, we get x squared plus 2x plus blank Take out the 25, y squared plus 4y plus blank. Put back in 9 times something, and 25 times something. What's that?
You're like walking backwards and writing at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I could do that.
Half of 2 is,
One.
square root it is.
Oh, shoot.
Half of 4 is,
2.
square root it is.
Nice. Looking good so far.
X plus 1 quantity squared, 25, y plus 2 quantity squared equals 100, 225?
Yeah.
Woo, look at that, that's clean.
Yeah, it works out. Nice.
Makes you feel good.
Yeah.
So let's see here, that becomes a 225. X plus 1 quantity squared over 25 plus y plus 2 quantity squared over 9. 1. ¿Qué es esto?
Nice. That's what I
Es un elipso. ¿Qué puedo?
I
I think I made up that word.
Blank
Ellipso.
horizontal.
Yeah. It's ellipse because it's plus. Which way is it being stretched? Left and right or up and down?
Left and right.
Why is it being stretched left and right?
Because the x squared is bigger.
Which one's the one that doesn't matter?
As the formula says so.
Because a squared is under
Okay.
5.
See? That's not so
I
bad.
had it.
That's because I have to look at my note card.
I got it right.
Because it looks wrong.
Do you need me to plot it through?
That looks like
No.
How do you find C with an ellipse?
Oh, minus a squared.
Minus. Remember, the C values are always going to be the opposite of the sign of the equation. Okay? Wait, what?
What?
Huh?
Wait, a squared minus c squared.
Is C squared.
For everyone or?
No.
For an ellipse. Remember, when you're working, an ellipse has the plus sign between all the junk,
Alright.
and then the hyperbola had the minus sign between the squares equaling 1. So this was a squared minus b squared is c squared. This is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I was just trying to relate it between the differences in the signs.
Okay.
Let's go to 10 and I'll get you in a second. Unless you have one, did you have a question on that or did you need me to finish? I don't. Okay, we're gonna look at 10 real quick.
Is there maybe a center point for the ellipse?
It's not shifted. Wait, how do you know if it's shifted or not, actually?
All right, so we have a plus sign between the two. We have x squared. I'm gonna rewrite, move to 244 and start going.
Negative 1.
I have x squared minus 4x, 16y squared minus 128y equals negative 244. So we get x squared minus 4x plus blank. Take out the 16 and I get y squared minus 6?
Maybe.
No,
I'll check.
that's not 6. It's got to be 8. Thank you. 8y plus blank. Bring back in. We have a negative 244 plus something plus 16 times something. Half of negative 2 is, excuse me, half of negative 4 is, yay, it's convenient that I gave you the answer. Square root had 4. Add the 16 in, get y minus 4 squared, or too many squares. Okay. So I have 256, subtract 248, 16?
Yeah.
Convenient, isn't it?
Convenient.
So we wind up with another ellipse that is stretched left and right. With an a squared of 16, a b squared of 1, c squared would wind up being 15, and we go from there. The center would be located at 2, 4.
Can you scroll? Thanks.
Excuse me. It's an ellipse again, stretched left and right because the a squared is bigger than b squared.
Oh, I skipped something, that's why I didn't make sense.
15, right? So the C squared.
I gotta get
Yes.
I get 3 after.
Just forget about it. I won't understand information.
Wrong. What's the sign between the two?
Oh,
Minus.
hyperbola.
It's a hyperbola.
It's a long.
Centered at the
Origin.
origin.
What is that? So,
It's a hyperbola centered at the origin. You put them both over 25.
That's like so cool.
This becomes 1. It's not a circle because it's subtraction between the two. What this basically means is the rectangle that you draw, because your A and B values are both 5. When you draw out the rectangle box, it's a square. You get slopes of 1. Okay, that's what happens on that one. I think Amanda was asking something about that, if you can do that. That's the kind of the weird thing that can happen with hyperbola. When it's centered at the origin and you get the same values for A and B, it just means you're creating a square as opposed to a rectangle. And you get slopes of 1.
so how would you know what where to see cover the super?
You do it the exact same way. Your center is going to be at 0, 0. A squared is 25, so A is plus or minus 5. So you just go up, and this one, x squared came first, you go left and right, 5. And you just do it the same way. You do the exact same thing. Okay. Free. I get you.
Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you.
Ooh, excuse me. Group them out. X squared, 4x plus blank
What number is this?
minus y squared. It is 3.
Get this.
What if this was 0?
What was the one
Thank you.
that you did? You just did that. It was like, it was a hyperbola.
I still have to factor out the -1 out of the y squared. So what I'm going to do here is write it as negative. We have y squared minus 8y. Then I have to make sure I put back in. So we have 13 plus blank plus -1 times something. So we have x plus 2 quantity squared. So I'm adding a 4 here. Here. Half of -8 is -4 squared. I'm adding 16 here and here. Which gives me what? -16 plus 17 is? So your a squared and your b squared value for the hyperbola wind up being 1. So it's still a hyperbola
Yeah.
because it's subtraction between the two. You get a box. Well, they're all boxes.
What did you do with C then? You just not plotted them?
Well, your c value. Well, if a squared is 1,
2.
b squared is
Oh,
1,
because it's
c
adding.
squared is 2. Can't.
It's 2.
Well, I'm sorry. Wait. Let me rephrase that. C can equal 0 because then it's a circle.
Okay.
Because if your a squared and your b squared are the same value, and you go through it like an ellipse, that just means that your focus is a vertex or a co-vertex. That just means there isn't one.
1 plus 1.
So you know when
That's
it's
what I
set
do.
up that A and B are, A squared
They're
and
all
B
equal
squared are
to
the same.
1.
With
Plus.
correct.
And then hyperbola is the same hyperbola is plus, but then the A squared and B
Is there
squared
something,
plus.
is it just by root?
No.
No, the
Hyperbola.
ellipse anyway.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Equal to 1.
Yeah, except for C squared equals 2.
Doesn't matter like which one is your greatest
ellipse and like flip the final one?
No, it still matters because you still go up one, you still go left one. So when you go to plot it out, you still have to add it to the right H or the K. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see.
When you're labeling,
What were the two? Just like, I'm just making sure.
but you have to. The vertex would be the way that it's going, because I think that one went this way. So your vertex would have to go left and right.
Oh, wait.
If x squared is first, then it's left and right. If y squared is first, it's up and down. Ellipse. If the x squared, if the a squared value is bigger underneath the x squared, it's left and right, and b squared is. Remember, when you look at the formula, the a squareds don't change spots on the hyperbola. It's just x squared or y squared what comes first. That's what tells you the direction. And with the ellipse, the a squareds switch. And remember, a squared's bigger than the ellipse. Okay. Sir. Oh wait, Lucy was first. I'll get you.
14.
I know.
You're just bouncing through just about everything, aren't we? So we have 2x squared plus 20x. Oh wait, there's no y squared value, so I know it's going to be a parabola. I have an x squared parabola, which means I want to make sure that I get the, excuse me, I want to do the x minus h quantity squared equals 4p y minus k. So I'm going to move the y and the 52 to the right side. And I'm going to go ahead and factor out the 2 right away because I'm going to have to for completing the square. And notice I put in a plus 2 times something on the other side. I have to remember to do that because I have to add that in because the x squared had a coefficient of 2. Yeah.
Say if the y had like a flaw or something, could you do an ECF and take that out?
I would do it at the end because you might have to worry about with this. I wouldn't worry about my GCFs with the y values or an x value when you're doing parabola until you're ready to do that. Okay. Half of 10 is 5. Square it, you get 25. So over here we have 2 times the quantity x plus 5 squared equals negative y minus 2. Okay? I'm almost ready, but what do I do with that 2 on the left? I have to divide it over. Which means I have to divide everything here by 2. So you get x plus 5 quantity squared equals negative 1/2 y minus 1. What do I have to take out?
Negative 1/2.
Take out the negative 1/2. When you take out the negative 1/2, well, negative 1 divided by negative 1/2 is positive 2. And then you get. So that means you set your 4p value equal to negative 1/2, which means your p value is negative 1/8. What did I get to? Negative 1 divided by negative 1/2 is 2. And if you just think about it anecdotally, if you distribute this in, what's negative 1/2 times 2? Negative 1. If you use your calculator, type negative 1 divided by parentheses 1 negative 1/2, it'll spit it out for you also. X squared parabola, piece value is negative. What direction are we going? Down like a front. You're like, if I just show a whole bunch of gang signs, it'll work, right? It'll be one of them,
Keep it
right?
there for me.
It's somewhere. Somebody will understand what I'm doing.
I'm confused about this. Not maybe this is the one we were doing, but like I forgot all about parabolas and everything. So what are we trying to get over onto the right side?
Well, when you have the parabola, you're going to have only one value. Only one of them is squared. So you keep the squared term on one side and move everything else the other way. That's all. So if it's the x squared is positive, you can keep it on the side. If it's x,
Over both whatever.
yeah, whatever the other one's not squared,
Yeah.
move that over.
Okay.
Okay.
But then you also plus
What's that?
what is on this side?
Focus. is distance is your value of p from the center. So in this case here, your center is at -5, -2.
It's like perfect.
Your focus, this one is down like a frown. So what would you subtract 1/8 from, the x or the y coordinate? The y coordinate. So the focus would be at -5, -2, and 1/8. The directrix would be what, -1 and 7/8. Because you'd add it going the other way. Okay. Just so happened we wound up getting, I think the two parabola problems you guys had on this whole sheet gave you fractional p-values. No, you had a question a while ago. What did you have? Like I said, guys, these are really good problems. Remember, what I did here is I did a lot of just this quick solving and going through it. I know that you guys can mark it up on a diagram and you can walk your A's and your B's and things like that. Make sure you remember that your value of A is always your distance from your center to your vertex. B is your center to your co-vertex. C is the center to your focus. And the p-value is your center to your focus. Opposite p is to the directrix. And then it's just a matter of, like I was saying, remembering how to do a couple of these things. You know, when you're given values of an ellipse, the center is always going to be at the midpoint of your vertices, the midpoint of your co-vertices. Your parabola, that you can find that p-value, okay? Things like that. It works itself through. Yes, ma'am? Fifteen's putting you to be another parabola because it just has the y-squared value. So when I have just the y-squared, I'm going to keep the y-squared since it's positive on the one side, and then move the other stuff. Complete the square. We're going to get y minus 3 quantities squared, which means I have to add 9 over here. And then I have y minus 3 quantity squared is -1, x plus 2. So this is going to give me a p-value again of -1/4. Y squared parabola, which means it's got to go left to right. Negative p means it's moving left. Negative p, that should be my rapper name.
Negative.
No?
Did you plan that one?
No. No, but the big plan I had yesterday kind of blew up in my face. We thought Miss Denny was walking around and googly-eyeing everything in our office, like just putting googly eyes and stuff randomly. I thought it was pretty funny. So I went and bought 1,000 googly eyes and googly-eyed one of her windows, and it wasn't Miss Denny googly-eyeing people's stuff. It's awesome.
Who was doing it?
We don't know. We thought it was her. I bet you it is her. It's just the one who did it. But yeah. Oops. So when you practical joke somebody, make sure you're practical joking the right person before they get mad. Top tip of the day.
Where were you yesterday? I saw you in the morning.
I had to, you know how some classes have been taking those map testing? I had to learn how to read the reports of all the map testing stuff. You guys don't have to worry about for algebra. I know you'll have to do it for humanities, but not for algebra.
Do you have any flex classes?
Yeah, I do. I don't know where they are. What's up?
There's not one time. There's something y plus something. There's a number beside one top.
Number 2. Oh, yeah.
That one? Like that? Is that kind of what you're talking about? What's that? I have them in there, guys. I just gotta.
Hey, Miss Murphy.
This one here, you wind up with.
Like just stand right here with it in your hand.
It's 3, -2, center.
This one here, you got x squared, y squared. You're just gonna have an h value of 0. What's up?
Can I show you this?
Yeah, let me start this one out, and then I'll get over there. I'm just gonna write it as x minus 0 quantity squared. That way I know that I have an h value at 0 and go out of that.
Okay, so there's a parabola, and then would I take this point, like from these two?
Yeah, that's exactly what you do.
Would it be going up since like this is positive, or is it going down because there's a negative 2? I don't know.
Which one's h, which one's k? Oh, careful. This is your k value, this is your h value. You flipped it.
Okay.
Okay?
And then
So-
it'd be going down though, right?
Yeah, whatever the ordered pair is, yeah. No, it's y squared, so it's gotta go left. So take out the 9.
I don't know. I thought parabolas go up and down. Wait,
Yeah, it goes up and down, or left and right.
either one?
Depends on what it is.
Dang it. No.
So you have 4 x minus 0 quantity squared, 9 y minus 3 quantity squared,
From left.
63 and 81 is 144, so it works out nicely. So you have x squared over 36. Is that right? Yeah. 16? And then just go from there. I'm trying to think. Yeah, this is an ellipse because it's plus between it and the a squared, b squared are different. There's a lot of info here, guys. I went through a lot of it. I recorded all of it, but like I said, make sure you spend some time looking at that. What did I say? 6:45?
Something like that.
Somewhere, I think it was 6:45. Make sure you spend a little bit of time looking at that. Those questions right there in the middle. Just be able to write the equations, given information. The software that I use a lot of times to create some of these problem sets, they don't always have every style of problem that we do. So I try to throw a couple of extra pieces at you so you know what it is. Once we get into class tomorrow, hand out the test and roll and just go for it. Okay?
How long is it?
It's like 4 or 5 questions.
It's only 5 questions.
So then if you get like one wrong, you're
Maybe.
screwed.
Yeah, that's not bad. There's like 30 questions, so if you get one wrong, you still have like...
Yes, sir.
You get one wrong.
There are some passes back there. There's not that many of them.